All right, guys, today, exponent basics. I'm sorry, we're gonna learn the very basics of exponents. Some of you guys may know some things already, some of you guys may not, so let's just catch you up. First things first, this is an exponent. I know it's no numbers, it's just very general for a reason. Exponent is made up of two things. One, a base, and an exponent. The base is the normal looking thing that's big, right? And the exponent is going to be the small number they call a superscript that's attached to the very top of the number, okay? So whenever you have an exponent, you're gonna have, for instance, over here, I got a whole bunch of things going on, but I got this 5 would be my base, this 3 would be my exponent. X is base, 2 is exponent. Y, base, and actually everything has a little exponent of 1 there. So there's my exponent. And that's just how they work. And so with that said, let's talk a little bit about what these things mean. An exponent tells you how many times you're multiplying your base together. Okay, for instance, let's just jump right into our first example. I'm gonna expand this exponent to show you what I mean. 5 to the third means I'm doing 5 times 5 times 5. I'm doing 5 times itself 3 times. If I have x squared, I have x times itself twice. So x times x. And if I just have one y or y to the first power, again, I'm just gonna have a y. This would be that expanded out. And conversely, I got this over here. If I have an expanded version, I want to condense it, it's as easy as this. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 3s, 3 to the fourth. 3 is my base, 4 is my exponent. I have 1x, so just x. Or you could put the x to the first power if you would like. Don't have to. And for the y's, 1, 2, 3, y to the third. Also, for each one of these, I'm gonna use purple, right? If I wanna make this like, you'll see. If I want to actually figure out what 5 to the third actually is, right? I could do 5 times 5 times 5. It's gonna be a little bit of a bigger number, but you could do it that way. Or you can use a calculator, which I'm gonna show you guys right now to make this foldable go a little faster. 5 to the third power. I'm going to type in 5, obviously. I'm going to use this caret key, and it's gonna make my little exponent blinker up here. And then I'm going to type in 3, hit enter, 125. So this is like me saying that this right here is the same as me saying 125 x squared y to the first. Just like for this one right here, if I want to evaluate this a little further to find out what is actually 3 to the fourth, I could do 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 and figure out what that is, or I could just use my calculator, 3 to the fourth power, enter, 81. So 81 x to the first, y to the third. And there you go, that's it, guys. Now, just for some extra practice, we're going to do this table, okay? Now, real quick, before we do this table, a couple things I want to point out. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. I don't care if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If it's x, anything to the power of 0 is just 1. It's a nice rule to remember, so it's always 1. So you guys can fill those in right away with me. For the rest of this table, you guys can do it the long way or the short way. So for instance, let's say 2 to the third, right? So again, this means 2 times 2 times 2, right? 2 times itself 3 times. Well, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. That would be my answer. Or, if you guys want, you could just use a calculator. So again, 2 to the third equals 8. Of course, my math is right. So you guys can either use a calculator or you can expand it out. But what I want you guys to do right now is make this table, okay? Try it out. Okay, guys, let's check your work. So again, you could either use a calculator or you could have expanded it out and did it by hand or mind, whatever you want to call it. But these should be all your answers. Notice for my x's, I know I didn't really do an example like this, but we did one from the earlier. X to the first is just x squared, x times x. I just expanded these out because you can't really get an answer when it's just a variable. X to the fourth is 4, x to the fifth, 5x. I just expanded that one out. And there we go. Now, for negative integers, Pretty much works the same way. Only difference is, you'll see. Again, anything to the power of 0 is just 1. Okay? And again, let's do a variable one. X to the negative x to the third. Now remember, it's going to be negative x times negative x times negative x. Okay? Now, that negative sign's a big deal for this reason. Let me do a couple for you and show you guys what I mean. I'm going to do this by hand. You'll see. Let's say negative 2. Negative 2 to the first power. I could type that in a calculator, or I could just, that's just 1 negative 2. Easy. Now, negative 2 squared. This is a negative 2 times a negative 2. Well, think about this. 2 times 2 is 4. Negative times a negative is a positive, so it's going to be positive 4. Next one. Negative 2 to the third. That's negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. 3 negative 2s. Well, we already know negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. But positive 4 times a negative 2, well, that's going to be a negative 8. And you'll notice that when you guys have exponents with negative numbers, if the exponent is odd, it's going to be a negative answer. If it's even, it's going to be a positive answer. Odd, negative answer. Even, you guessed it. Guess what? If I type this in a calculator, negative 2 to the fourth power, it should be a positive number. Oh my gosh, what's happening, guys? What do you think happened? I think it's my calculator. I think, lesson learned, we need to do calculator work here. Let's try it out. Sometimes we're smarter than our calculators. And so what I mean by that is, we need to make sure we put this negative 2 in parentheses, just like it's in our problem, because we want to make sure the calculator keeps that negative with the base. So let's do a parentheses, negative 2 in parentheses, and we're going to raise that to the fourth power. Now our calculator should be a little smarter, and we get our positive 16, okay? So when you guys are filling out this table, okay, you can do it long by hand, but make sure, I would recommend the calculator, use the parentheses, okay? If you don't use the parentheses, you might get wrong answers. Different signs, a big difference in mathematics. So go through, make sure you use parentheses, it's a big difference, see what you get. Okay, check your work. See if you guys got it right. Again, hopefully you guys used the calculator correctly with the parentheses, did it nice and slow. And if I didn't point out earlier, make sure you guys use a negative, especially like, a leading minus sign. You're using this negative button, not the subtraction button. So that might be catching you guys up, especially if you had error coming up on your calculator. But there you go. Notice our answers are pretty much identical, top one, but any odd exponent, so like 1 is odd number, exponent 1, right? My answer is negative. Anytime I had an even exponent, positive. Odd, negative, even, positive. Odd, negative, and we continue that tradition. So there we go, guys. Hopefully it's a nice, easy video for you. Work on those calculators. Stay healthy, stay safe. Have a great day.